code, cloud, IT, and silly jokes. ITT.
Hey everyone, my name is Dawid Chruścielski and with me is
Grzegorz Kotlarz.
and we are ITT. And today we are going to talk a bit about Terraform, how to automate the deployments of Terraform, how to do it with proper pipelines in GitHub, so you don't have to use your CLI like every developer on his own or her own to make that locally. So we have a history of what's been deployed, stuff like that. It's easier to track everything and what exactly happened in the pipelines. And Grzegorz will take us through that journey. So let's jump into the screen share. All right, Grzegorz, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, David. Hello, everyone. Yeah, let's go directly to actions. And yeah, today we will use GitHub Actions. So let me show you quickly. I have the repository, which contains a few directories. Today, the most important one is infrastructure, where we have a Terraform code. And we will create the workflows, which will deploy this Terraform code into our Azure account. So we have a few workflows, but we will speak about the content later. Let's jump into the cloud to show you that there is nothing yet. We are on our resource group. The name of the app is NodesGem, so I filtered my resource groups through this phrase, and you see that I don't have nothing yet. So let's create the infrastructure. We are back in the repository, and there is already prepared a pull request, which have some failures here, and that's intentionally, don't worry, guys. So here, in this pull request, we've added the infrastructure resources. Don't worry about that code. Unfortunately, it's quite old. It's from one of the recruitment tasks I had a few years ago. So I picked that one to show you that you can basically automate almost everything you have. So it doesn't need to be the latest Terraform versions, the latest Terraform code. I picked one which has already 4 years, I think, and made automation, and it worked. But let's see why the plan generation, because that's the first step of our workflows, why it failed. We can see that the workflow has some steps, and one of the steps which failed is selecting workspace, because workspace dev doesn't exist. Why it failed? I removed the workspace before to show you some fine option how you can retry to generate your plan before if something will fail. So let me create the workspace for you on my terminal, and in the meantime, let's go to the workflow itself to review the code, because we saw that something failed, something happened, but why it happened? What was doing? Let's go to the generate plan on PR workflow. And I want to give a credit to the guy named Daniel Flock, who created a very nice repository with Terraform GitHub Actions. So without almost like any effortless, you can make your automation in a very, very simple way. Let's go back to our repository. Here you can see that the workflow is quite small. It has just one job, which will create the plan, and it's using Mr. Flock Terraform plan action, and it's passing just some variables there. And it's running when the pull request will be opened for the infrastructure directory. And that's basically what happened in our pull request. So let's go back to it. And it failed because we didn't have the workspace. Now I've created the workspace, and I can make Terraform plan comment here. And you will see what will happen. And why we wrote that comment, you can see that we received some thumb up from GitHub Actions bot that, okay, I'm on it. And it started to generate a plan once again, because we have another pipeline here, which is on issue comment. And Mr. Flock prepared also the Terraform plan from the comment. So if the comment body contains Terraform plan, it will create a plan for us. Let's wait for our GitHub action to prepare the plan, and we will go back to the pull request. You can see that, again, this plan failed, but it was not unintentional. It was unintentional. I failed here. I used locally different version of Terraform that our repository supports. So you can see why it's very important to make that automation, to don't do things from local environments, because developers can have different versions of Terraform, and it's very hard to keep them synchronized with the versions and everything. And Terraform is very unstable if you are trying to use it from different versions when something is wrong with the state. Basically, that's why it failed now. Let me switch my Terraform version locally, create the workspace again, and we will be back on Terraform plan. So let's I switch the workspaces again using the proper version this time. So let's write again Terraform plan and wait until it will be prepared for us. Hopefully now it will be. Now our Terraform GitHub action worked properly and generated the plan for us, which you can now review. You can see what happened here, what resources will be added, and everything. And why it's nice to use this Terraform plan action, because it is added as the comment to the pull request, and I really like it because now other developer can review the code, and also while reviewing the code is seeing what this code will apply actually to the infrastructure. So you are
that's nice.
You are reviewing both the code and the action which will happen when we will click merge now. So let's merge this and see what will happen. And what will happen, it will run another workflow from our repository, which is named apply after merge. And it's using, again, the same actions, Terraform apply. And Terraform apply creates the plan, compare it with the plan from the pull request, and if it matches, it's applying it into your cloud. If it doesn't match, for example, you will create, because it's working on pushes on merge on main branch. So if you will push directly something on the main branch, and with this setup, without auto approval, which we will see later for release workflow, it is always checking if there is a pull request for this commit. If there is not, it will not apply the changes because they were not reviewed. Let's see if the action is working. It's applying something. Let's go. It's just one step to apply approved plan. Let's see if it started to applying. We need to wait a few moments. In the meantime, I would like to say thanks to Gideon from the team I worked with, who discovered these GitHub actions, and we worked together on automating our deployments of Terraform. So thank you, Gideon, for the content for this video. So while our code is deployed to the infrastructure, to our Azure cloud, let's maybe see what is inside these workflows a little bit closer, take a look on that. So we have the first initializing of the process. We have the workflow, which is starting on pull request. So when someone is opening a pull request, it's preparing some environment, because we had to set up credentials and stuff like that to authorize in our Azure cloud. So we are passing the every secrets you have in our repository setup. And it has one job to plan our changes. So it's checking the code and running the Terraform plan action, which is preparing the plan and assigning it into the comment. So thanks to that, we see in the pull request comments, the comment from GitHub that, okay, according to the code which is inside this pull request, this will happen for your infrastructure. It's using the dev environment.
Okay, so that's just one custom task that you are using inside of the GitHub Actions.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So quite simple.
Basically the same for on pull request comment. Just it's another like trigger, which triggering the process is triggered by comment, not by the pull request opening. They could have one common GitHub action and call it, for example. And here, when someone is pushing things to the main, again, we are preparing the environment. We are using the dev environment because in our case, our main branch has the code which is in our dev environment. And we are applying, again, using the custom GitHub action Terraform apply to our environment. Okay. And that's where we are now.
So this actually makes the change, right? The one before was checking what the change will be, and you could review it in the comment, right? And see what exactly will happen to the current infrastructure, what will be the change. And here it is actually the part of the damage, let's say.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, you're right. That's why it's taking some time, because it's making some changes in our cloud right now. And we'll see it soon. But let's talk about the next step, because the infrastructure deployment is not ending on dev environment. We have our production environments also. And you can do a very similar thing with, of course, pull requests into the another branch. So use this workflow, but when the pull request is open on, for example, prod branch or some release branch or something like that, and do it the same way. But I'm a fan of releases like tag release in GitHub. So I prepared another workflow, which is named release. And it is triggered when the release is run, when we are publishing a new version of the application with a new tag. Again, we are preparing environment, and this time you can see that it will use the environment production. And GitHub, this action has more than one job. Actually, it has plan, approve, and apply. We need that approve because there is no pull request. When we are creating the tag release, we are just creating the release. It will fire our action, and it will not wait for any input from us. GitHub has the environment feature, but let me go into the settings, and you can protect your environment from deployment that they have to be reviewed before like going into the next step of your GitHub actions. So you can use environment to protect it and attach your action into the environment, and then it will wait on some step until it will be approved. But I will show you one of my settings from one of my open source repositories. And you can see here is in code and automation, here is the environment tab where we can add new environment and stuff like that. We will not touch that at this video, but let's go to our private repository. There is no environment. It's just the feature for open source projects and for GitHub Enterprise license. So we had to somehow overcome the problem, and we found GitHub action manual approval, which will create an issue with our, like after the plan will be generated, it will create to us the issue in GitHub where we can approve or deny the changes, and depends what path we will choose, it will apply the changes or not. So I can recommend this GitHub action is again some custom action, which helps you to overcome the problem when you have your private repository, but you don't have the enterprise license. And we are back in our GitHub actions, and you can see that it applied successfully. Let me switch to Azure Cloud to show you that there are some resources. Yeah, now under the Node.js, we have our resource group, and we have our resources here. So assuming that it's working, we can make the production release. So let's go back to GitHub and prepare release. And you can see that I have some releases before because I was testing the whole, but there were versions 0.0. Now it's time for version 1. We are releasing version 1. Let's generate some release notes and publish it. And what will happen? Because we published the new release, it will trigger our GitHub action, which will prepare the plan. Let's go to the action and see if something happened. Something is happening. Let's go into it. Now we have 3 steps we were talking before. First is creating the plan for our production environment. Unfortunately, we need to again wait a little for that. All right. We see that something happened. Plan was prepared. Now the approve step started because like you can see, it's like the workflow that one depends on the other. So approve is waiting until the plan will be prepared, and then apply is waiting for approve. What will happen, David? Do you remember? What will happen in this step?
In the approve itself?
I mean, what will be the output when it will be done? Will it run apply or not?
No, hopefully not. Hopefully you need to approve it, right?
Yes.
But I want to see how exactly you need to approve it, because you said that it was supported by GitHub itself, but not how it is supported in the action in the UI. So that's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. So let's refresh the page because we have to refresh to see the output. It's still under like that it's still working because it's waiting for our approval. And what happened? You can see that we have one issue here. Let's check it. And we have that manual approval is required for our workflow. We see the plan. Okay, it looks similar to the dev one. So we had the same state on dev and prod environments. For me, it looks good. So you see, by responding to the issue, you are approving or you are declining the workflow. In our case, we want to approve. So I'm writing approve. Or you can choose approved, looks good to me, yes. Or you can pick your own in workflow definition. All approvers have approved, continue workflow, and closing this issue. And you can see that it assigned me already to this issue. Why? Because it's in my workflow definition. You can assign the team to this. You can assign one person and also define minimum number of approvals before it will be approved. So yeah, I checked the plan. I approved. You see approved is green. It run apply. In the meantime, while it's waiting, I want to show you how you can now a little bit improve the security of your repository, because now we have this awesome workflow that you need to create. You are creating a pull request. Some reviewer is checking both code and the plan. Then after the approval, it's merged to the main branch. Main branch is deployed to the environment, and then we have releases to deploy to the production environment. So the good idea, because currently we can push directly into the main branch and it will do nothing because our Terraform action is checking if there is the pull request approved for the code, which is in the main. So I suggest after set up all of this workflow to go to your repository settings, go to the branches and add protection rules to your main branch to require pull request for your main branch, require some approvals, and require also status checks to pass. Then, thanks to that, you will not be able to merge anything what is not approved and what is and when the plan workflow didn't work, because that means that something is wrong with your state or with your code, and you don't want to push anything to the main branch. Yeah, and we are back after more than 9 minutes. It took so long to create our infrastructure, but it is there, and to prove you that it's there, is there another resource group with new resources, with prod.
Just one thing to add, it's only
environment is prod.
Just one thing to add, because it's just for demo purposes, but like usually different environments shouldn't be separated only by the resource groups, should be in a different subscription, but just for the demo.
Yeah, you're completely right, David.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, I think that's all I prepared for you. Thank you for your time. You watched ITT, where we were showing you how using 2 simple custom GitHub actions prepare the whole Terraform workflow for your project. So if you like that video, hit the like button, subscribe the channel, and we are seeing in the next video soon. Thank you.
Yep, just one more thing. If you need any resources, those will be in the description. We will put it on GitHub so the actions can be seen and it's easy to grab them. All right. Thanks everyone and cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.